Drum roll, please.
This is the brand new Canon C400 cinema camera.
You're watching CineD, supported by B&H and CVP.
Hello everyone, Graham Ayler-Sheldon here from CineD.com. We're here in Burbank on a beautiful sunny day to talk about the brand new C400 that fits right in between the C300 Mark III and the C500 Mark II. So just at a high level, what is the C400?
Yeah, so the EOS C400 camera is the latest in cinema. EOS, it is a full-frame 6K camera that is really built for filmmakers, but it has a lot of features that makes it incredible for live applications as well.
Now, Ryan, before we start diving into the, tech specs, why in between the C300 Mark III and the C500 Mark II? Are both those camera bodies still viable from the Canon perspective?
Sure, both of those cameras are going to stay out there. The C300 and 500 have been absolute workhorses. They're incredibly popular, again, for both cinematic production and live. However, you know, with any company that has a kind of a nonlinear product cycle, we're going to have amazing new features, amazing new technologies that we want to start pushing out into the market, and that's really what the C400 is.
All right, well, should we maybe start with wherever you like, sensor, frame rate option, codec, somewhere in there?
Yeah, sure. So I'll actually start with, you know, the camera body.
Yeah, great.
I mean, it is super compact. It's a little over 5 inches in every direction in a box style. So you can always build that up. You can never shrink a camera down, you know, so that's great. Weighing in at about 3.5 pounds, so it's going to be really nice for every type of handheld, gimbal, shooting situation, whatever you need.
All right, Ryan, maybe now is a good point to sort of get a little hands-on with this camera.
Yeah,
so walk me around the exterior and just the menu layout and the monitor, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. So as far as the top handle and LCD attachment, all of these have been revised. The LCD attachment now is a much less convoluted system consisting of a 15mm rod and sort of a NATO clamp here. So everything here can rotate in about 360 degrees. You have the ability to really push this LCD screen further away from you, so if you have this on your shoulder, it's going to be easier to see. And this new handle unit here is rock steady on top of this camera with 3 points of contact. And something unique is we have a multi-function shoe actually on the body itself. That is actually transferred up to the top of this handle here. So if you have accessories such as maybe, you know, the Tascam XLR adapter, you could actually throw that onto here and it will power and transfer the audio through the handle here. Besides that, yes, it is an RF mount camera. So the mount, you're getting all the benefits of our new RF lens line. You can also adapt a lot of lenses. So PL adapter and EF adapters are available. So
Key there, though, not swap the mount, adapt.
Exactly. And that's the advantage of having that very short flange distance on the RF mount, is you can adapt to the other formats. Speaking of PL, we actually are introducing our own PL to RF mount adapter as well at the same time, and that actually can connect into the body, and it's got, you'll see the front of the camera, it's got 4 screws on there. That's actually for the little wing plates that keep that PL adapter locked in really nice and strong on there, so you can put some pretty hefty lenses on there without any kind of bending or anything like that.
All right, well, since we're kind of going outwards in, if you will, let's talk about the battery system, because new batteries, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. So there is 2 new batteries. This is now using the BP A60N and 30N. And they're just optimized discharge, higher milliamp hours for the various ports on the camera, which there's a ton of input-output on the camera. So yeah, new battery system, but you can utilize your existing batteries as well. There's 2 caveats. There's a lens port on the front of the camera that's used for powering servo lenses. And if you use the old batteries, you won't get power out of that.
Okay, so, you know, kind of backwards and forwards compatible with the little asterisk next to it. That's, exactly. I think, fine. And then the monitor cable, I noticed, is a bit different from the other versions.
Yeah, so that's actually been changed over to a USB-C type connector for the monitor and the hand grip on the side. So both of them are USB-C type connections, which is going to be nice for opening up to third-party companies for extension cables and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then button arrangement similar, other than, of course, the more cubular, is that a word? Box style camera?
I'll go with that, cubular, yeah. Absolutely, it's very similar to the existing C300 and 500 as far as the layout. We have 18 assignable buttons all over the camera, including the new grip. We've actually got 2 new buttons on there, which will be great for the autofocus functions. But yeah, overall the same layout. We did make one change. We moved the audio controls over to the operator side, which was
Thank you.
that was a huge request. We still have the selection on the dummy side of the camera, but everything that you need to get to often is going to be on the operator side. So yeah, well laid out.
And in terms of memory, one CF Express Type B and one SD card slot this time, right?
That's correct. That's correct. And with that, your CF Express Type B is going to be all of your Cinema Raw Light, your full resolution XFAVC footage, and then you have the SD card, which can do double slot recording, just not RAW. So you can double slot record anything up to 4K 60p, basically 600 megabits per second. As long as you're staying within those confines, you've got full proxies and sub-recording on that SD card. Yeah.
Okay, well, should we go under the hood a little bit?
Let's go under the hood. So as far as the CMOS sensor, it is a brand new 6K back illuminated stacked CMOS sensor. We've had that technology in our mirrorless cameras. This is the first Cinema EOS camera to have that. Basically what it does is, moves a lot of the wiring out of the way of the micro lenses on the sensor and moves it to the back. And by doing that, it improves not only readout speed, but the amount of light that can get into that sensor. So with that technology and the addition of a triple base ISO system, this camera actually has the most dynamic range out of any full frame sensor camera that we've had.
So triple base ISO, let's unpack that a little bit. I imagine it's a little like dual base ISO. Are there little brackets on each of the 3 different?
There isn't. We might want to add those in. It depends on which gamma that you're shooting in. So in Canon Log, so the camera includes Canon Log 3 and Canon Log 2, the base ISOs are 800, 3200, and 12,800 as a native ISO range. So what this does is, obviously it gives you a very quick way to reset the noise floor a little bit for whatever your shooting situation is. If you're in a darker environment, you can obviously increase your base. And then what we found is you have the flexibility to, set that base ISO, but then shoot at a slightly lower ISO, which results in kind of a digital pool. And while the dynamic range is slightly affected, you're going to lose highlight, you can really dig down into the shadows and clean it up in those lower light environments.
Wow, okay, that's one I'm going to need to try out first, but sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've always looked at it as, this is a way to shoot in lower light, but it's a really fun feature that we've added in and allows a lot of flexibility depending upon, where you're at and what your lighting environments are. Yeah.
So we should talk about, you touched on it a little bit, but codec options. So with that, we're going to do another separate video. If you're watching this, there's a few other videos from Canon, one specifically touching on the firmware update. That being said, you have a few different versions of RAW, Canon RAW available in the C400, and I have a C500 Mark II, so I already got a little bit of a hint of what that might look like, right?
Yeah, you got those modes added in with the last firmware update. So we have Cinema Raw Light in all 12-bit, regardless of frame rate, and you have HQ, ST, and LT modes. So depending upon your card size, how long you need to shoot, you can choose to go with either of those file size formats. But again, all 12-bit and even LT is visually imperceptible, in my opinion, to ST or HQ. So you can really shoot RAW with nice data rates.
Now, I heard you made some changes with the MP4 wrappers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually added 2 new codecs. Previously, we had just a straight-up .mp4 codec. And what we've done now is we still use MP4 as a wrapper, but we're introducing XF HEVCS and XF AVCS. And those are MP4 codecs, but they are very scalable. You can take them way down as far as bit rate. And what's nice about them is they retain the same metadata and the same folder structures as our Cinema Raw Light and XFAVC. So they are very, very useful as proxies now. Previously, if you shot an MPEG-4, you wouldn't have any of that metadata, so now it matches up.
I guess I'm jumping back to outside the camera for a second, but I noticed you still have those same screw positions, if you will, on the back for maybe third-party power accessories. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. When I saw it for the first time, I thought, oh, well, we might still have expansion units, but that's not the case. It's we left them there for third-party development. So for anybody that's wanting to use V-mount or gold mount batteries, you're going to have options just to screw that in there. Use that battery, plug that into our 4-pin XLR, and then you have the ability to do whatever power situation you want. So.
Cool, Ryan. Well, let's talk autofocus. For most of my career, a bit of a dirty word in the cinematography community, and then I started using it, especially recently from you guys. I'm like, oh, this is really good, actually. So is it getting better, I hear?
It is better. For the longest time, I had to explain to people with some of our mirrorless cameras with their dual pixel CMOS AF2, why the video products didn't have as good of autofocus. I don't have to do that anymore. We have dual pixel CMOS AF2 included in this camera. What that does is enhances the coverage of the autofocus. It used to be 80% of the frame covered by autofocus. There's a little bit on the edge that wouldn't have autofocus. Now we have 100% across the frame. The other things that it allows you to do is track different types of subjects. So we have people detection and animal detection. So for dogs and cats, you've got subject tracking. And the people AF detection has been enhanced to include not only eye, face, head, but now full body, which is helpful, especially if the person's further back in the frame, smaller in the frame. It's actually able to track more intelligently. And we also have new zones as well for the autofocus. So not only just a single box or a small box, but you can do full horizontal, vertical, or whole frame options as well. With a full frame camera and a fast lens, if you're relying on autofocus, it's definitely necessary that it works as well as this.
Very cool. Well, why don't we brainstorm just a little bit? I'm constantly surprised by you guys out there and how you're using these cameras, but since, the C300 is still around, I still love it. The C500 is still around, I still love it. The perfect user for the C400, if we're just kind of guessing right now, I mean, it's somebody who wants a very riggable body style, right? Maybe somebody that wants a little more autofocus, something a little more compact. Is that sort of where your head's at?
Absolutely. For the creative user, I mean, it's absolutely tailor-made for content creation in that regards, like everything that you said as far as adaptability and versatility. But of course, what we're seeing is a ton of people utilizing larger sensor cameras for multicam and live productions. And that's really where this guy is skirting the line, I would say. Not only do you have all these great features for traditional content creation, but now you have a ton of input, output, and live event features as well. So some of those include the Genlock port. So if you're multicam going into a switcher, you have synchronization with your switcher. If you're a live production that utilizes return video, such as broadcast, you actually have a return input that can be toggled. And we have such a great story to tell with our Cinema EOS cameras and our servo lenses, because they have all these cool functionalities that lend themselves to that. If you have our focus and zoom demands set up with a servo lens, you can actually just toggle that return button, and it works through the lens and through the mount. Everything just talks together. It makes it really cool.
And built-in Wi-Fi, too. I don't need one of those little third-party dongles.
Exactly. Built-in Wi-Fi. You've got our multi-camera control application that works with that over XC protocol. You've got our browser remote, so a lot of remote control capability. And having that Ethernet built in with the XC protocol means that this can be incorporated into productions along with our other XC cameras, so our PTZ cameras and our XF605 can all be controlled in a single production utilizing one of our remote controllers or our remote control application software.
Very cool. Well, okay, USB-C, very exciting because obviously third-party folks can jump in on that, easier to repair, all sorts of things. Is that EVF V70 that probably wouldn't be compatible with the C400, right?
No, unfortunately not, just because of that new USB-C interface. But we are, leaving it open to possible third-party development for that.
All right, well, leave a note in the comments if you want another EVF version that's USB-C compatible, just so everyone can see that. Let's hop over to anamorphic options. So are we able to de-squeeze at least from a monitoring perspective in camera in the C400?
Absolutely, yeah. The camera has 1.3, 1.8, and 2x anamorphic de-squeeze modes.
Open gate possible for the sensor, or no? Not this time.
Not at this time, but we do have 4.3 guidelines and things like that to be able to work with that.
Okay, cool. Well, look, that's why I like my C500 Mark II, and that's not going away anytime soon. So I think that brings us to pricing and availability. First of all, on pricing, thanks in advance as a Canon fan. I think it's very competitive would be the word on pricing.
Absolutely. I am very happy to announce that it is coming in at $7,999.
And shipping soon, I hope?
As far as availability, we are looking at fall for shipping.
Okay, fall 2024, depending on when you're watching this. Ryan, thank you so much. There's a huge crowd in the other room gathered around the C400 right now, geeking out, and I'm very happy I was able to pull you away to this little side conference area to geek out one-on-one with CineD and myself.
It's my pleasure, Graham. Thanks.
All right, that's it for us here at Canon Burbank. That's everything we know as of now on the new Canon C400 coming fall 2024. Thanks, everybody.